Good morning and welcome back to Drury University. We are here at the O'Reilly Family Event Center as we continue our play-in games of the boys 18 and under. This is a game between the Fort Wayne Hawks out of Indiana and the Kansas City East Lions out of Kansas City. My name is Paul Gilmore, and I have the pleasure of being joined by Scott Staten as we bring you the action of this play-in game that sees the number 2 seeded Fort Wayne Hawks, who went 1-1 in their pool, match up against the number 3 seeded Kansas City East Lions, who went 0-2 yesterday. So just a quick heads up on the advancement. The reason these two teams are playing is because the number 1 seeds have secured their spot in the Sweet 16, and the winner of this game advances to that Sweet 16 as well.
2s and 3s, so you got an opportunity, even if you don't win your pool, to be able to move on, and it's really starting to make some really interesting matchups as we're looking ahead. Already some of the action that's taken place this morning and some tantalizing matchups on paper that we're looking forward to. And one of these two teams is they'll both move on, but only one will move on to the Sweet 16 and the boys 18U to try to win in that Division I area. So it's going to be a highly contested. Both of these teams have a lot to play for, even though yesterday it didn't turn out exactly like they wanted.
And the other interesting thing about that as well is this is an extra game these teams are playing that the 1 seeds are not. So
right.
These teams playing an extra game in the morning, but they also have to play again this evening. Meanwhile, the 1 seeds are sitting back at the hotel watching the game, looking to see who they're going to match up with tonight.
And we talked about it yesterday, though. Sometimes that's an advantage for the team that's already played because you got one under your belt. At the same time, you might be tired. So we'll have to see how that plays out.
3-pointer on the way, and that is good for Gavin Reynolds. He gets both teams on the board. Meanwhile, nearly a steal the other way.
Reynolds averaging 14 points a game, so not surprised to see him on the board early. And Fort Wayne likes to see that outside shot falling early.
That time the shot no good from Jared Devine. He couldn't believe how open he was. Kind of double clutched it. Meanwhile, Fort Wayne comes back the other way. Nice feed inside. Strong move on the drive and going to go to the free throw line.
Yeah, nothing easy inside. You can see both teams are not willing to give up easy baskets. As soon as a foot is in the paint, there's a couple of defenders right in their face. And that time, one of the KC East defenders stepped over and got the contact. And that will put the Hawks at the free throw line. DJ Graber.
Graber unable to connect on the first. So looking at yesterday, we saw Kansas City East. They lost to HEA in a heartbreaker at the end by 3, 73-70. Then they lost to the Houston Raiders, who just played here at Drury, 87-67. So they went 0-2, but really, really close game with the number 1 seed HEA. Meanwhile, Fort Wayne, they beat Mid-South Mustangs, who the Raiders just played, 73-60, and they lost to the number 1 seed Dash Spartans. On the inside, no good.
That loss put them in this game, but still with an opportunity to do what they came here to do in Nationals. Got to love that. I've always liked that about the way the Nationals are set up, and especially now with the pool play, that your first day doesn't ruin everything.
Another 3 in the corner, short.
Not been able to connect from outside. They hit the 1-3 already, but Kansas City East has really struggled offensively.
They've gotten some good looks, like you mentioned. A couple of offensive rebounds now on this possession.
Second
Still
chance points.
Nothing.
Can't get it to go. Devine, their All-American, put up it was a tough shot when he was floating, but you're going to start to see more of those fall in.
Nice feed, interior passing from the Hawks, and then the patience to drop it in was Newcomer. And it's a quick 6-0 lead.
Newcomer, the Midwest All-Region player, All-American.
That's going to be tipped and stolen away by Newcomer, as you were saying, Scott.
Yeah.
Making himself felt.
On cue, averaging 20 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. The guy is a player, and he's just, in the last 30 seconds, shown that off as his team is out to an 8-0 run to start this one off.
And you mentioned just the quality of teams that are playing. You know, we made a concerted effort before the tournament started to highlight the best of what homeschool basketball is about, and especially the first couple games at Nationals. This is a little bit different format this year on the broadcast, having all boys 18 on the first couple days. Today we introduced some of the girls into the picture. As a matter of fact, the next game is a girls 18. But you look at just across the two gyms between Ozark and Drury, and it has been wall-to-wall action and high-quality basketball. Over at Ozark, we saw CHSA Wolverines matching up against Tennessee Heat. CHSA jumped out to a 13-0 lead. Well, now it's 10-15. So Tennessee Heat making a run right back in it.
That Ozark gym has something in the water there. We have seen so many comebacks from, like, there'll be a huge lead. They give us an update and say, oh, this team's down by 20, and then the next score we see it's a 2-point game.
It's a beautiful facility. I just came from over there, called a couple of games this morning with Joshua Jenkins, and excited to be back here at Drury. And Kansas City East is really struggling to get on the board and get anything going offensively. That ball was tipped out of bounds and last touched by the Lions.
Seems like the Hawks, the length, they've got some length on their team, and that really is bothering Kansas City East. No open looks. Even the shots they're getting are not easy.
Now Fort Wayne back on the attack. Surveying the man-to-man defense on the inside passes and more ball movement rather than settling for the long home run pass.
Yeah, Devine there got knocked out of bounds, came down hard. He's okay, but right in front of the Hawks bench. Once again, double team. They are really, I mean, they're Hawks on defense. They are, anytime the ball is if you pick up your dribble, you're going to have two guys in your face. If you get over in the corner, you're going to have two guys on you. And let's see how the Lions can answer this.
Meanwhile, the Lions have gotten some good looks, as that time the first basket is good for Devine. You saw that time they were able to beat that press out top, and it led to an open corner three, which did not fall in, but good positioning from Devine, and he gets the Lions on the board.
Devine is a good offensive rebounder. He averages 10 rebounds a game, and that time he showed he was able to be in there and get that second chance and put it in. Oh, wow. What a shot.
Newcomer is a tough customer down there in the paint, as he nearly flipped that in.
Yeah, he's very nimble. I mean, he's not a short player, but like when he gets down underneath, you might have a good position. You might have him just blocked out, but he somehow can wiggle his way around and kind of does a lot of those scoops and up and under moves, gets himself opportunities that you wouldn't think he could get sometimes.
And that first free throw is no good from Newcomer. Substitution for Kansas City East, as that is Maddox Carrillo that checks in.
This game already kind of playing into what we thought would happen, expected to see, is both All-Americans leading their teams in scoring. We got 7 already now for Newcomer, and the only points for Kansas City East. Devine, another turnover.
Man, that pressure that Fort Wayne is applying is creating all kinds of problems for Kansas City East. They're going to have to make some adjustments on some of those cross-court passes.
Yeah, and they're doing, like, if you look at the court and separate it into thirds, they're making passes across all three, and those are easy to pick off if you're on defense. They've got to get better spacing and kind of get your guys in spaces where you can make those passes, beat the press, beat the double team. But so far they played right into the hands of the Hawks.
That time is a tough pass towards the feet, and that's stolen away by Kansas City. They'll head back the other way. On the drive, nice take, scooped up and under by Devine.
That's a big-time move there. He just floated in there and just kind of waited for his defender to fall to the ground and then just laid it in.
Under 3 to play in the opening period of this play-in game. Three-pointer on the way, and that is good. Rattled in by Isaiah King.
Second three of the game for the Hawks. King, not one you necessarily expect to shoot from outside, but boy, he was right on there.
There's that pressure from Fort Wayne. Nice cross-court feed.
Man, every shot is contested. There is nothing easy today.
And that three-pointer no good. KC has not found the success from range. They've done a great job crashing the boards and getting second possessions, but have not found the success outside of Devine.
Sassy comes in for Kansas City East. Are you going to say it? They need a little sass, right? They do. Down 16-4 right now.
Good defense, but Devine is able to flip that up and in. He's got all 6 Kansas City points here in the opening period.
Yeah, not surprising. He is their leader. He's their scorer, but they're going to have to get some help. And so far, they've just been unable to crack that defense. Devine's shots have not really been easy either. I mean, he's hit them, but he's had a lot of contested looks. And another turnover that time for the Hawks, though.
Yeah, that traveling violation was called against Reynolds.
See if the Lions can do something to get some better spacing, maybe set some picks and look for other people besides just Devine. to get in the scoring column, because so far it's just been him, and they've really not given him a whole lot of help.
It has certainly not been easy. That three-point attempt was blocked and then ultimately stolen away. So, like you mentioned, nothing easy from this Fort Wayne defense.
Yeah, they are really making life difficult this morning for the Kansas City East Lions.
And that shot no good, but the rebound is ripped down by Nelson.
It rolled on 2/3 of the rim, and then somehow when it hit the backboard, rolled off.
Devine working the one-on-one. He drives left, puts it up. No good, but we're going to have a blocking foul called on Graber, his first.
That was a tough one. Graber was there. Looked like he might have leaned just a little to make sure there was contact, and the official was right there and made the call. He was hoping to get a charge, but Devine comes away with 2 shots.
First one is nothing but net.
That's been the only time there's been an uncontested shot is free throws.
Devine still the only name in the scorebook thus far. He's got 8. Newcomer has 9 to lead all scorers.
Now they're rising to the top. We're seeing the leaders of both of these teams, why they have the stats that they do.
And that time Sassy had some good defense before he ultimately got a little bit too sassy, if you will.
Yep.
Okay, that's the last time
I knew it was coming. It had to happen. It's, how often do we get that opportunity? Good tip, good back tip there by the Lions.
And that tip ultimately led to Carrillo getting a steal and the bucket.
Sophomore with his first 2 points. First points by any Lion other than Devine. They're still hanging around, even though it's not been easy.
And that time we're going to have a blocking foul that will lead to 2 shots.
Looked like the foul was on Nathaniel Nelson.
First free throw is good for Reynolds.
He hit a 3 early in the game, and that's his first point since then.
And second is also good. 28.9 seconds left in the first quarter. KC East still working against that pressure.
It is relentless. Cause another turnover. Carrillo that time heard the footsteps, tried to gather the ball, and ended up kind of carrying it on his hip.
So now Fort Wayne will likely hold for the final shot of the period. They lead by 8. Newcomer knifes through the defense, but that's going to be rejected. On the second attempt, it looks like Reynolds might have gotten hit in the face. Hopefully he's okay.
Yeah, Reynolds has been very active. He's been down there with the big boys, getting rebounds and giving himself opportunity now at the free throw line.
And that was a foul on Kevin Johnson, his first. Reynolds back at the line. First one good.
Hit all 3 of them so far.
And I don't know if he's hit the rim yet on his free throws. 3/4 court shot is going to be no good, and that's how we're going to end the first 8 minutes as the Fort Wayne Hawks lead the Kansas City East Lions 20-10. Second quarter action and much more back after this brief intermission. Back here in Drury University, second quarter action underway of this play-in game between the number 2 Fort Wayne Hawks and the number 3 Kansas City Lions. Lions start with the deep three. That's no good. Rebound tipped around before it ultimately ends up in the hands of Newcomer. Taken away by KC East. That three-pointer is also no good. KC just can't find the range thus far.
Yeah, nothing from outside right now. Up, steal by Newcomer.
And that is going to be an and one.
Oh, how did he do that?
Of the highest order, as he might have got fouled by both players. We'll see who they give it to.
You could hear that slap all the way down here.
And that, I believe, was given to number 12, Wyatt Shepard.
Yeah, that was a crazy shot. That was a touch. I mean, I don't know how he spun that off the backboard.
Can't connect on the and one, but he's got 11 now in double figures to lead Fort Wayne.
And that's been the story this first half already, Paul, is that missed shots by KC East turns into points for the Hawks, and that Hawks defense has really shut down.
Nice feed.
Although that time they beat it.
Excellent feed to Johnson.
Haven't seen that the whole first quarter, and maybe they found a little bit of an answer at the break there, talking about how to beat the defense, which is super aggressive. Sometimes on an aggressive defense, if you can do some back cuts and find the cutters, you're able to beat that.
Another tough shot from Newcomer. He is just pouring it on here in the first half.
Yeah, he's got a good touch. I mean, you can see why he scores over 20 a game. Knows how to get the ball in the bucket.
And that foul was on Trevor Maley. He took a shot in the face as he was whistled for that foul.
We've seen a couple of those. I'm wondering if we need to go back to the goggles, you know, like it's getting hit in the eyes quite a bit.
I'm a fan. We saw a kid over at Ozark. He had one of his lenses pop out of his goggles.
It happens.
And that's going to be another foul as Carrillo is dribbling. We'll see if it's again on Maley, and I believe it is.
Yeah, I drove through Terre Haute on the way here, and that's where Indiana State is, of course. And the kind of the sensation in college basketball is Avila, the player for Indiana State, who's kind of a throwback. Just a big player that when you look, you think, oh, he's not going to do much, and he's just a great player, but he wears the goggles, and everybody loves him. They call him Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So he's like, he's kind of got the goggle thing going. There's a three.
And that three was Divine, and also from Divine, as he opened up the three-point. We talked about KCE struggles from behind the arc. Maybe that'll open things up.
Yeah, that's into double digits now, 11 points of his own. First time they've been able to connect from outside, and gave them a little bit of life. That's the first time we've really heard their crowd get into it. They haven't had much to cheer for in that first quarter.
They counted it on the floor, so even though Reynolds flipped it up and in, they're going to say it's on the floor.
There's been a couple times in our game right before this one where it looks like they're in their shooting motion, but the officials are saying it's on the floor and not giving them the and one, so they'll get to throw it inbounds. Just 2 team fouls this quarter.
That three-pointer on the way just rattles out. Good rebound pulled down by Johnson. KC will come the other way, trailing just 9. Deep three-pointer, and that's no good, but the long rebound comes out to Divine.
Kai Lewis, he had a good look there, and even though it was long, it was right on line. He's just a little bit too strong.
So now they're looking to create some space. They've got the pick and roll again as Carrillo is going to be denied by number 24. That's Reynolds. And then meanwhile the other way, Newcomer.
You can almost count it. When they're on a break, if Newcomer gets the ball, he's going to go to the bucket, and 9 times out of 10 he's going to score.
That three on the way from Carrillo, no good. Offensive rebound, Divine. That's going to be short, gets his own rebound, puts it in.
Divine has been pretty much the show for them right now. 13 points out of their 17 points have come from his hand, but they have not been able to connect from outside. Just that 1-3, and that was Divine that has done it. But the rest of the Lions really struggling offensively.
Newcomer once again somehow knifes his way to the bucket, and his offensive onslaught continues.
Yeah, like a knife through butter, man. He seems to ignore the defenders. He always just finds his way around them.
And he's got 17 here in the first half. That three-pointer is on the way and strong, as that was no good from Kai Lewis. Fort Wayne's going to take a full timeout, so we'll take a brief intermission with them and be back for the rest of the first half and more right after this.
When my body needs relief, I real-time it. I'd like to introduce you to my knockout pain formula, real-time pain relief. It's soothing lotion, it's rich in nature's ingredients, and helps me manage discomfort day or night. And it smells great too. From muscle strains to soreness to simple back aches and arthritis. Real-time it and knock out your pain. It works for me and it will work for you. Real-time pain relief, it's a knockout.
Second quarter action back underway here at Drury University at the O'Reilly Family Event Center. The Fort Wayne Hawks have opened up a 28-17 lead. And a backdoor cut by Newcomer. He finds a way to clutch it by his shoulder and then go up with it. That's 10 points in the second quarter after he had 9 in the first. 19 first half points for Newcomer.
Yeah, he's having a game. Putting his mark on this one for sure.
Pretty looking teardrop from Kai Lewis as he hits the runner. His first points of the game.
Kai averages over 12 a game, but up to this point, he'd been trying to connect from outside and just really couldn't hit the mark, so maybe moving in just a little bit made a difference there.
And I think that's overall a good philosophy for KC East. We talked about this during the intermission. They have not been able to connect almost at all from three-point line, so even though you may be a three-point shooting team, at some point you got to adjust a little bit to try to get back in the game.
Well, and the good news for them is the Hawks, they've hit 2, but that's it. And they pretty much found all their points inside. So it isn't like you're having to match a lot of threes. So as long as you can find some kind of offense.
And this time Reynolds on the drive, a little too strong. Excellent rebound from Lewis. He now comes the other way. In the far corner, back out to Devine. That's not the man you want to leave open. Can't connect that time. Ball tipped around by the Lions, but ends up back with the Hawks.
Yeah, he was open. I wish Devine would have taken one step in.
Alley-oop to Newcomer.
Oh, wow.
I might need to create some more space on my score sheet if this keeps up.
Running out of room for sure, and they're piling up the points on the scoreboard as well. Great pass from Reynolds, too, on that find.
That one stolen away by Fort Wayne. They've now opened up a commanding 13-point lead as we hit the 3-minute mark of the first half.
Reynolds did a great job on that look there, finding Newcomer.
No good from Reynolds for 3. Then on the drive, strong move by King.
That's a big body coming at you. You get a step in front of that, it takes some bravery.
And he and Newcomer have had some strong takes today. Whoa, speaking of athleticism,
yeah,
that man King, who just scored the offensive goal on the other side, got a goaltending on this side.
Yeah, it looked like it hit the backboard before he blocked it, and so that's an automatic.
Not a lot of times on our years on the broadcast do we have to worry about goaltending, but that was quite an athletic feat by Kevin Johnson. Or excuse me, by King on Kevin Johnson. So they are going to score the basket. Substitution for KC East as William O'Donnell checks in.
Yeah, that was even sometimes you don't mind that, even with the goaltending. That still is in the head of the Hawks, or rather the Lions, as they take anything inside.
Speaking of taking things inside, that's exactly what Fort Wayne has been able to do all game long as Reynolds gets right to the rim. And then the other way, we've got to travel.
Yeah, Devine took off before he had complete control of the ball and traveled there. On the other side, Reynolds doing a great job. He averages 14 points, over 5 assists a game, and he's done a really good job running this offense. A lot of times when Newcomer is getting his shots, it's because he's got his guard finding him right in the right spots. And so far, Reynolds really running the show well for his Fort Wayne team.
So Fort Wayne being really patient on the offensive end, trying to find the right shot, and King fired up a 3. No good.
That was online. Just didn't fall.
Devine with the shifty move, and he's going to drive and go to the line, as that foul is going to be called on DJ Graber, his second.
Both of them, he was trying to get charges, and the only thing he's doing wrong, he's setting up, but he leans over to try to when the player tries to avoid him, and as soon as he leans, the official's going to call that every time. You got to stay put, let the contact be the contact, and if he gets around you, he gets around you, but you're not going to get anything but a foul if you move.
And I think another important thing to remember as well is a lot of the times the players will set, and even though they set and they're planted and they're straight up, the offensive player still moves and connects with them on the shoulder.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to take it in the chest as well.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times what we see is that players have gotten so athletic that they're able to kind of maneuver around when they didn't used to do that. And sometimes it kind of shocks you when you're trying to be the defender, and it's, I guess, a natural instinct to kind of lean over into that.
And Devine connects on the second. And timeout by KC East, 1 minute and 40 seconds. Just a 30-second timeout, so we'll keep it here. And want to remind you that all of the action happening across Springfield. We've got 2 feature courts. The other one is over at Ozark, which right now has seen the Tennessee Heat with a furious comeback. They now lead 36-31 over the CHSA Wolverines.
Yeah, I think the Heat, I think they did not expect to have to go the play-in route. And they had some big expectations coming into this tournament. And I think you got a team that, boy, if they can put it together here in this game, they're dangerous. They've got all the pieces, but they are going to have to go the tough route. And I wouldn't be surprised this year, honestly, Paul, with seeing some of these play-in teams. They didn't win their pools, but, man, they're dangerous squads. And so we could see some upsets today in the Sweet 16 later on.
We certainly can. And speaking of that as well, the winner of this team will go on to face the Northside Lions out of Indianapolis. So if Fort Wayne holds, we could have a Battle of Indiana in the Sweet 16.
Oh, they've seen each other in the Midwest. They know each other well. Only separated about an hour, not even quite. And, they would probably relish that opportunity. Sometimes knowing your opponent's a little bit better. These teams are from all over the country, but you at least know a little bit of what to prepare for if it's a team that comes out of your region.
That three-pointer is on the way and too strong. And the offensive rebound is controlled by Krotzig. Now on the drive in the far corner. King thought about it. He'll drive, lose the handle. And a loose ball foul is going to go against King.
Yeah, I like the hustle, but at that point, ball was out of his range. He just let that go because he got called for the trip.
Minute to play here in the first half. Devine considered it. He kicks it back out. Carrillo for three, no good.
You see that time, Devine, I mean, as soon as he got anywhere near the paint, he had 3 guys on him. And he didn't even have an opportunity to barely look up and get the ball out of his hands. Looks like they're going to just try to wind this one out, get one shot.
Now on the drive, Krotzig, no good. Now Devine dribbling the air out of the ball for the final 13 seconds of the first half. Hands it over to Carrillo. Looks like they're trying to run an action for Devine, but instead it's thrown over the hands of Johnson. But a good look.
Yeah, it was a good look, good idea. The execution wasn't there, just sailed out of bounds. One more shot. Let's see how close they can get it.
Half-court attempt is up and no good from Fort Wayne, and that's going to do it. After the first half, the Fort Wayne Hawks in control, 36-22 over KC East. Second half action and more coming up after this intermission.
When my body needs relief, I real-time it. I'd like to introduce you to my knockout pain formula. Real-time pain relief. Its soothing lotion is rich in nature's ingredients and helps me manage discomfort day or night. And it smells great too. From muscle strains to soreness to simple back aches and arthritis. Real-time it and knock out your pain. It works for me and it will work for you. Real-time pain relief. It's a knockout. When my body needs relief, I real-time it. I'd like to introduce you to my knockout pain formula. Real-time pain relief. Its soothing lotion is rich in nature's ingredients and helps me manage discomfort day or night. And it smells great too. From muscle strains to soreness to simple back aches and arthritis. Real-time it and knock out your pain. It works for me and it will work for you. Real-time pain relief. It's a knockout.
Welcome back to Drury University. My name is Paul Gilmore, joined by Scott Staten, bringing you this play-in action between the Fort Wayne Hawks out of Indiana and the Kansas City East Lions out of Kansas City. KC opens up in a 2-3 defense, extended, as they're looking for some answers against this Fort Wayne attack. that saw them getting into the paint over and over and over in that first half. So, Scott, I would imagine this is why you see this kind of adjustment.
Yeah, because they didn't see a lot of three-point shots, but Fort Wayne does have the ability to shoot them. They hit a couple in the first quarter, but haven't since then.
That three-pointer is good and on from Trevin Malley.
Yeah, and that's the way you get them out of a zone. Shoot yourself out of the zone.
And Devine can't answer on the offensive rebound attempt. That ball's going to be thrown out of bounds by Maley, so it'll stay with Kansas City. But that's the problem when you're in a situation like Kansas City. You move them to a zone, and then they knock down that first triple.
Yeah.
And now you're already second-guessing.
Yep, exactly. And then a steal, and another one of those passes that goes across the entire court. It's almost like a Hail Mary, so to speak. Like when you're throwing it that far across the court, you just give the defender time to jump in the air and get that. Hadn't heard from Maley, and we know he averages just under 10 points a game, so he can shoot. But they've got that luxury of not just being able to go with Newcomer down low, but got some outside shooting as well.
That time Kansas City was able to come down with the defensive rebound. Up ahead to Lewis, no good off the backboard. In that first half, Sam Newcomer scored 21 for Fort Wayne. Meanwhile, Devine had 14 to lead the Lions.
Newcomer scored 21. KC East as a team scored 22. So that gives you an idea how that first half went.
And that time Newcomer again was able to take it up strong, and he'll go to the line to shoot two.
It was All-American versus All-American. Foul on Jared Devine. He just had to grab his arm because otherwise Newcomer had another one of his layups right there.
And he's had several this game where he's ripped through the contact and still got off a shot attempt, sometimes for an and one. But that time, again, Devine is not a I'm trying to put this lightly. He's not a skinny man by any means. He's got strength.
Yes,
and Newcomer was still able to rip through and almost score a layup.
Yeah, absolutely.
Goes 1 of 2 from the line.
Yeah, it's a fun matchup to watch. They both can score, and sometimes they have to end up defending each other.
It was a good look inside for Johnson before it ultimately got tipped away, and that's been the story of the game for Fort Wayne. They've been so involved in the passing lanes and have created so many opportunities off of turnovers.
Yeah, their defense has really dictated the flow of this game, and Kansas City East has not been able to get into a flow at all.
Meanwhile, King takes it up strong before he's fouled by Johnson.
King, another big body the Hawks have, but he's not just a post up. He can drive on you. He can shoot outside and puts himself at the free throw line there.
First free throw is good from King. Second on the way and good as well. King now up to 7 points in the contest. Devine underneath to Johnson. Nice feed, and he's going to be fouled over the top by Newcomer.
Yeah, they'll do anything they can to get some points because they're down 20 right now. And actually, if you can score with the clock stop, that's your best bet. But so far, they really just haven't had anything. It's been Jared Devine really able to come up with anything. And other than that, just 3 other buckets from other Kansas City East players.
And also want to clarify on the broadcast that if you're looking on our score bug, we also see that it says that's the second quarter. It is not. This is the third quarter.
Second shot went in for Johnson. Well, Johnson's been quiet, but, I mean, this is a guy that averages 15 points, 13 rebounds. And that Fort Hawks defense, it's formidable. It's the kind of defense that gives them a shot with whoever they would end up facing as they move on if they're able to pull out this game up by 19 right now. They've got the defense. They've got an All-American scorer. I mean, they've got the parts. And so even though they're in a play-in game, that's a team that if they end up in your bracket, you're not necessarily thinking, well, they were in a play-in game. We won our pool. This is a team that can make some noise.
And it is also the type of defense that certainly is not going to show what Kansas City is capable of. You know, if we're going by our law of averages, I'm sure most Kansas City East players are not anywhere near their average from the season because that defense has been so formidable.
Absolutely. They've got the two parts. You know, you got the defense and you got scorers, and so that gives them a shot in just about any game.
So now Kansas City will go to a full court press. That immediately pays off as the ball is tipped away. Three-pointer on the way, and that is good. Big turn of events.
Finally, Nathaniel Nelson able to sink one. Maybe that'll get something started here.
And that's tipped away and nearly stolen as well by Lewis. That ball's tipped.
Yeah, the press really bothering the Hawks now.
That ball's thrown straight to Devine. Another three on the way, short.
Tried to get two in a row. A little bit short on that one. Kind of rushed it.
Exactly what you have to do to get back in the game.
Yeah.
At least give yourself a chance. You go from 20 to down 16.
Yeah, Hawks going to talk it over. You can see as their players come to the side, they're kind of making the motion, just settle down. You don't beat a press by panicking. You got to be able to just keep your eyes up, find your spots, go to the open spots, and make the passes. And they were kind of caught off guard there. Good job by the Kansas City East Lions to throw that in.
And I like the timeout by Fort Wayne, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to get yourself in a situation where you give the other team all the momentum, become complacent. You know, a couple of turnovers, a couple of baskets. Next thing you know, it's single digits.
Yeah.
And it's a contest that you feel like you've been in control of the entire game.
Yep.
And now you add a little bit more anxiety and pressure into it.
Sure. And you can. I mean, we've seen it. If you watch basketball at all, a team can throw a press on when it starts to work. I mean, it turns things around quick. And so you got to get a grip on that. I'm sure Coach drew up their plan and how this is how we practice this. This is how we beat the press. Get your spots. Don't panic. Keep your eyes up, and you'll be all right.
Reynolds whips it across. And we're going to have an offensive foul going the other way against Maley. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that.
Yeah, Maley was that time. I mean, they are going to go to the goal, but the defender was set right there. We had a couple players on the floor. Inadvertent contact. Guys just playing hard.
And that was the third foul on Maley, so he's going to go to the bench. We still got 4 minutes and 47 seconds left in the third quarter.
So it's a 16-point game, and there's absolutely plenty of time. You still got a quarter and a half to go. At this point, if you're the Lions, you just got to keep, take it in 2-minute bursts if you can.
Devine a little strong on that shot attempt. Back out the other way, Reynolds. Brings it back out top.
Haven't heard from Newcomer in a while.
And he got double teamed on that shot attempt, but the ball will stay with Fort Wayne.
That's probably a shot you don't want him to take. He's got to be a little bit closer for that. That's where you want him to kind of back it out, maybe let his team reset and try to get better spacing there, get a better position down on the block, because he was pretty far out to take that kind of a jump shot or kind of throw it up.
And he's in a position now where if you recognize the defense is keying in on you, that's where you can come in and start to get other teammates involved. If you got a double team, somebody's open.
Yep, absolutely.
On the drive, Reynolds, yes.
Reynolds, he's been a solid player this game. He's in double digits now, but more than that, he just really runs the offense. And that time, found his spot as well.
Nice look underneath for Johnson, who hits the reverse.
Yeah, we knew it was just a matter of time. He's going to score. He averages over 15 a game, but been kind of quiet up until this quarter.
And this time, Newcomer leans into the contact, can't quite finish, and then we're going to get a jump ball over the top.
Yeah, and difficulty-wise, that was probably one of his least difficult, and that one didn't go, and he's hit some others that are really tough. So
it probably all averages out.
Yeah, yep. That's the way it works. You'll hit some you shouldn't, and you'll miss some you shouldn't too. But he's going to keep shooting, and absolutely he should. Newcomer really keeps the points on the board for this team and keeps their offense working.
That one taken away from Devine. Up ahead, a little bit too far.
Yeah. Krozik that time, I mean, it was a good idea, but kind of the angle that he was at, he really wasn't going to be able to get that to his player where he was even going to be in position to make a shot. And so that one you'd rather just have him back it out, wait for the rest of his teammates to come down and get a good look. KC East is starting to get some points from other people, but still just 6 points in this quarter.
On the baseline drive. Back out top, Devine. Three-pointer, no good. Offensive rebound.
That was a good look, though.
Carrillo, tough jumper, no good. Rebound is pulled down and thrown right back to the Lions, and that attempt is short. The ball's batted around before it ends up in the hands of Reynolds.
It's like somebody buttered the basketball. I think it was just nobody could get their hands on it.
Now Fort Wayne patiently biding their time. Running some clock. On the screen and roll, they get it to King, and that's going to be a blocking foul called on Carrillo.
Yeah, King, man, he had some momentum going inside there. Would like to have seen him maybe not try to make such a crazy shot. I think if he just gone straight up, he would have had an easy layup.
Sometimes the way these players load up, you just have no idea what to expect by the rim.
For sure, but King is a weapon they've got, and that was all set up by just a beautiful bounce pass. And he had a wide open path to the basket.
Meanwhile, Newcomer pulls down the offensive rebound.
And more time off the clock. The Hawks aren't going to take the air out yet, but, you know, they're not going to also panic or be in a rush because they've got plenty of time to kill with the lead they've got. Turnover, though.
Yeah, the traveling violation called on Graber. Nice spin move by Devine, and then he levitates and puts it in. He's been quiet in this second half. That's just his first points after a monster first half.
Yeah, he was all over the place first half, but I don't know if that's the Hawks just shutting him down or maybe them purposely trying to get other people involved. He can't do it alone, but beautiful floater.
And that time he fouls Newcomer, who will go back to the line.
They keep being like it's kind of great how both of those players end up being one-on-one. You love to see it. He felt like he had a ball on that, but I do think his arm was on the arm of Newcomer.
That's what makes it tricky as a player, right? You're on the situation where you feel like you got all ball, and sometimes that's true, sometimes it's not.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes you can get all ball, but you forget there's other parts, you know, that are involved. You get them with your foot or your chest or, you know, the arm. Like it's not just about the ball.
That time the pass was read by King. And just too many missed opportunities for Kansas City.
Yeah, for sure. They've given themselves some extra looks with some turnovers and with that press, but they just haven't done anything with it.
And now we're coming to the end of the third quarter as Krozik
floats
up and hits a Newcomer-like layup.
Yeah. That had a spin on it. The thing went all around the rim and dropped through. That was a nice shot.
Nice look underneath for Johnson.
Good find.
Johnson kind of waited and hid behind the defense and then struck at the right time.
Yeah, Carrillo had good court vision there.
And that's going to be an alley-oop pass to King, who throws it down.
Wow. That was pretty.
Final seconds of the third quarter. Devine is trapped on the sideline, and we're going to have a foul. And that's only the third team foul of the quarter, so will not be free throws. That will give Kansas City just over a second to try to get one last look here in the third quarter.
Yeah, that alley-oop, man, that was well done. I mean, there was traffic there, and King just went up and threw it down.
And Carrillo decides to take a running half-court shot to end the third quarter, and that's going to be it as we head into the fourth and final quarter of play. Currently it stands Fort Wayne Hawks 50, Kansas City East Lions 32. Back with the final 8 minutes right after this. I want to thank you for joining us back here at Drury University. If you are in Indiana or Kansas or anywhere else in between, I guess Missouri, right? Kansas City splits across two states. Wherever you are, we want to thank you for joining us.
Yeah, it's that whole Kansas City thing gets confusing for people. You would think they'd be in Kansas, but they're really in Missouri. But you could live on either side and still consider Kansas City. So,
and that inbounds is stolen. I'm not sure how many times we could use that phrase, Fort Wayne steals it, but it's been far too much for Kansas City's liking.
Yeah, the Hawks, that's really been, to me, the story of the game, more than even though they've scored a lot.
And now, that might have been blocked off the backboard. I'm not sure if Reynolds got any connection with that, but missed either way, and now Fort Wayne.
Yeah, coaches love to see that as he bails out his player there so he didn't get trapped with the timeout. But you love to see it when a player makes a mistake but doesn't give up on the play and then makes a positive out of it and comes down to the other end. And that's what happened there. Reynolds had the ball taken away, but he was quick to get down court. And not sure if he actually got his hand on the ball, but he definitely was up there battling, trying to block the shot. And it affected it enough at least where it wouldn't go in. And so for his coach, I'm sure they're super happy with the way that Reynolds responded. Of course, having your dad as a head coach, that also kind of helps too. You don't want to let him down.
No, and I think another thing you like to see as a coach as well is players not giving up on a breakout, especially whenever it could end badly for them.
Yeah.
Visually, optically,
right?
You getting scored on or potentially dunked on. Right. You'll see at the professional level. Obviously, the level of athleticism is so much higher. The odds of getting dunked on are that much higher. But
yeah.
I always enjoy, even at the NBA level, players that don't give up on those kind of plays and try to make it the right defensive play.
Absolutely. Even knowing that you might end up getting postered, but you're not going to give up on the play.
As a coach, I'll live with that. I'll live with the highlight, knowing that the player made the right play.
Absolutely. Kansas City East is going to have to do something to pick up their pace. They're down to 18. Just have not been able to crack through that defense. 10 points a quarter just is not going to do it. Run you off the line. Now, Kansas City East, I will say, they're doing a great job. As soon as Reynolds gets over to half court, he's making the mistake of picking up his dribble, and then it's like a third defender because he's got that timeline behind him, and that time he stepped on it, and so it ended up being a turnover. But he's done a great job. He's a really good point guard, but you can't. That's a basic mistake. You cannot stop right at the half court line.
That three-pointer no good. Up ahead, newcomer. He's going to have a one-on-one, and that time the defender slipped.
Yeah,
that certainly was not what he was trying to do.
No.
And
he hustled back to get in position, and when he planted his foot, it kind of went out from under him. And so he ended up almost looked like he tackled with Newcomer. He didn't mean to, but he ended up taking the brunt of the hit because, I mean, he landed, hit his head on the floor, and hopefully he's okay. Newcomer even checking on him there.
Yeah, great sportsmanship from Fort Wayne. All of the players surrounding him, making sure he was okay when he got up.
And you want your players to go back and contest it, but he definitely didn't mean to do that. Just lost his footing.
And that was Wyatt Shepard, the senior. So he'll take a seat just to make sure everything's okay. Newcomer gets on the board here in the fourth quarter.
He has had a game.
And he hasn't had to do as much here in the second half as they've been able to distribute the ball more evenly. But, man, in that first half, was he on one.
Yeah, 21 points in the first half. He's only had 3 in this half, but they haven't needed him to score a lot. Great board work by Maley there.
Meanwhile, KC has needed Devine to score, and unfortunately just been a quiet second half across the board for KC. They haven't been able to do a whole lot thus far.
Reynolds forced one there. I'd like to see him kind of back it out a little bit. I mean, the other thing that you got to think about, Paul, is play continues here. Good battle inside. I didn't even hear a whistle, but they stopped playing. But you got to think about it, looking ahead, and if this holds out like it looks like it's going to, if you're the Hawks, at some point do you start slowing the pace down just a bit, even though you're on a roll, or do you just continue to play and hope that that rhythm continues tonight in your next game?
I think it depends on the situation. So what I would do is I would have a quick conversation with my assistant coaches and figure out, okay, we're up 19 right now. At what point on the clock do we look at maybe getting our bench cleared? You know, you don't want to do it too early. You don't want to create a situation where, you know, you allow that idea of momentum and a comeback. But at some point you realize we've got another game tonight, and we've got to be really careful about protecting our guys and their legs.
Absolutely. Good find. That time they switched roles. That was Newcomer, and he found a cutting Reynolds who put it up. Kind of got hammered at the end of it, but no call, and that lead just stays right around 20.
Well, to give you an idea of the Kansas City offense, how it's gone versus this Fort Wayne defense, that last free throw by Johnson is their 1 point in the fourth quarter so far.
Wow. They're trying. I mean, Devine just made a great pass, and then they just couldn't gather the ball. Johnson kind of fumbled it, and the Hawk player, of course, was a part of that, just putting his hand in there, and nothing easy.
And that's been the story of the game. That last shot by Devine, rimmed in and out.
Yep.
That's been the story. So when that's a hard foul by Newcomer.
Yeah. He got hacked pretty hard and came down hard. Those two have gone at each other this whole game.
And that is a situation we talked about. You know, Kansas City goes back to watch film on this. I don't know if they're going to want to, but if as a team they were to take this and, you know, have an opportunity to go back and look and see, okay, what can we correct, what can we do? Obviously, we talk about the turnovers, but I think a lot of it is going to be, man, we missed a lot of great shot opportunities. And sometimes you just miss shots.
For sure. And you also, you know, like there are some things you can't control. You can't control your opponent's intensity. The Hawks defense has just been tough. I don't care who they're playing. When you play like that, you might get beat, you might give up points, but you haven't left anything on the floor. I mean, you're going to have a great opportunity to come away with the win, and that's really what's happened. I mean, it's not that the Lions have played poorly so much as the Hawks have just really harassed them the entire game. Their defense has done a great job of limiting good looks. They've run them off the three-point line, and even though Devine has had his points, I mean, you look at your score sheet, there's hardly anything else. It's been pretty much him carrying the way, and I believe that's the Hawks' defense. It's not just a bad game by the Lions, and you know, they're a good team. They've done, you know, to be even at this point, but they've run into a team that's playing some really solid defense right now and also has scorers.
So out of that timeout, Devine connects on the first free throw. His first points of the fourth quarter, just his third point of the half.
Yeah, 14 in the first half. And part of that has been, I do think there's been a conscious effort where the Lions have tried to get some other people involved, but The Hawks defense has just caused trouble for everybody, including Devine.
Oh, Maley was looking.
I don't know how Reynolds saved that.
And Reynolds somehow saved it. Back to Maley for 3. Newcomer, offensive rebound. Good job by Newcomer there not to try to force another one up. He kicks it back out. Let's take some more time. I'm sure Coach Reynolds has been talking to his guys about that. And that time Krossick does put it up, and he'll go to the line to shoot 2.
You also got to love, Paul, like from our vantage point, it's a little easier to see, but you got to love when you got your 20-point score setting picks for your other players. And he was setting a screen up at the top of the key so that Krossick could get inside there. And, you got to love that. You want your players to understand the whole team philosophy. Yeah, they're going to shoot. Yeah, when you average 20 a game, you're going to be super involved in the scoring. But you love to see that team attitude to get everybody else involved to the point you're willing to let a big player run into you.
And Krossick goes 2 for 2. As King will check in for him. KC East's got a bunch of subs coming in. Checking in is William O'Donnell as well as Joshua Clapp. And Wyatt Shepard comes back in. Carrillo on the drive, leaves it just short. Newcomer comes down with the rebound.
With 4:21 to go, you got to think with a 20-point lead, the Hawks, at the very least, are going to consider slowing it down. You would think, but again, I do know that there's another side to this, and there are coaches that say, hey, we want to stay in this flow. We want to end the game the way that we played the game, so that tonight we just continue that on. It's tough, and you know your players, and maybe these guys. Maybe they got energy, to spare.
Still no three-pointer that Kansas City's able to knock down.
Yeah, they've really, really struggled from outside. A couple of three-pointers, one in the second and one in the third quarter. But, again, it's that defense. They keep you moving so much, trying to find open space, that when you do get a shot, it's often rushed. There's very few open looks, especially from the perimeter, and that's good defense.
First free throw is good from Sassy. And, again, not to pile on to what's happening with Kansas City, but to give you an idea of the storyline of this quarter, they've got 5 points in this quarter, all of them free throws. They have not made a field goal here in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And we're more than halfway done.
Yeah, you can't win games like that. It's just a testament, and they've had a tough day, but it is a testament to the defense that they're playing, and it could be, again, this is third game in 24 hours. Your legs sometimes want to be there for you, but they're just spent, and they've had some tough games leading up to this one. So at this point, you walk away from this, try to take what you can. What do we learn from this? If you can, look at the film and figure out how do you beat good defenses. How do we, when they concentrate on our All-American, who else is going to step up? What do we have? How do we set screens better? How do we find open looks better? But they get to play. They'll get to play again tomorrow, and that's the good news. And so you'll get to be able to correct some of this stuff and also figure some of it out.
And not only that, but, they can take pride in.
Oh, man.
As I was rudely interrupted by King throwing it down. They can take a lot of pride in the fact that, look, you're one of the top teams in the country.
Yeah.
You earned your way here to play on this stage.
But it doesn't help you feel better when you look up and you see King floating through the air with another one of those dunks. So
no, I'm just trying to provide some perspective,
For sure.
It's all about perspective.
Absolutely.
Which right now you're not going to want to have.
No, I'm with you, Paul. It is. You got to shake this one off eventually. And for the Hawks, man, you go in with a lot of confidence right now. You have the things it takes to win and to continue go deep into tournaments. You've got scoring, you've got defense. And when you got those two things, man, anything could happen.
And I missed the substitution, but for the Hawks, we had Harrison Elliott check in, number 13. And right now we have Oliver Kessel checking in, as well as Krossick Oh, no, that's number, is that a number 3? I can't.
Yeah, Crossick's
No,
still in. Number 7 just
7.
came in.
Silas Hopkins.
Yep. It's starting to, as we talked about, get a little bit of substitutions in here so that you can rest some of your players. Still got Reynolds out there. I think they want him to continue to run the show and run that offense so that you don't want to just throw your bench players in to a situation where they can't, run the offense. Or it's good to have somebody out there that can help you out. Not that the bench players can't handle that, but a lot of times you want to keep one of your starters, one of your players that contributes a lot, that can make sure people in the right positions and run your offense where it's just not a 4 minutes of turnovers.
That shot, baseline shot, is good. That was Harrison Elliott that gets on the board.
Yeah, Elliott getting a big cheer from the crowd, getting his name in the scorebook now.
And that's going to be ripped away by Crossick. And on the run out, it's going to be re-stolen away by Kansas City up ahead.
William O'Donnell.
Stolen again.
Trading turnovers.
That was Hopkins on the steal. In the corner, Reynolds will fire up a 3, and that's good.
I think he wasn't going to shoot that, but then he saw, look, I am wide open. I'm going to take it. Got a pretty jump shot. He's a player. 16 points. Got a pile of assists.
That three-pointer on the way, nothing but net for Joshua Clapp as he connects on the first field goal for KC, and it's a three-pointer.
And the senior from long distance.
And that's going to be another steal coming back the other way quickly is Shepard. Finds Carrillo for 3. No. And got a couple players hit the floor. We're going to have a foul. And I believe they're going to call that on William O'Donnell.
Yeah, almost looked like a tackling drill in football. You just 3 guys at the same time just went down.
That was the 4th team foul on Kansas City. So any other fouls in the final minute 48 will put Fort Wayne at the line.
Micah Kink in now for the Hawks as well.
And that was nearly stolen away by Sassy, but it will remain Fort Wayne's possession.
Reynolds goes to the bench now, and they're all going to rest up and get ready for tonight's game.
And that is going to be a foul. That is called on Shepard, his 3rd. That's going to send Crossick to the line to shoot. I want to remind you that coming up next, we're bringing you for the first time this week some girls action, as we've got girls 18 and under taking over Drury and Ozark for the next several time slots. So we had all boys action thus far, and if you're looking forward to the ladies, we got that coming up next for you.
Going to be nice to kind of switch over to some girls basketball action. We got some really good teams this year. Of course, the heavy favorites, just because they bring so much back with San Marcos. And a great little interview you did with their All-American point guard, and was able to listen to that on the way down here. If you don't get a chance to listen to that podcast, Paul's done a great job this year, giving us kind of some backstory to a lot of these athletes that we're going to be seeing this week. And so excited to see San Marcos, if they're able to defend their title that they won here on this floor last year. And but some other really tough teams. I mean, HEA Firebirds, that big D1 signee. You got so many good storylines coming up that I'm looking forward to some of this girls action.
Fort Wayne was able to save the possession. That was nearly a touchdown.
Yeah, speaking of the touchdown in football,
three-pointer on the way, no good.
If you have a favorite team, you might want to check rosters tonight, because I mean, there's been so many people sign and free agents going to different places. You might not recognize them anymore.
40 seconds left to play, and that might do it as the Hawks bring it across the timeline. KC might seem content to just back off a little bit on defense.
Fort Wayne going to move on to the Sweet 16 tonight.
They're going to play the Northside Lions, as we mentioned earlier.
Northside Lions starting to see some of their fans trickle in here. Their girls team will be playing a little bit later on, 3 o'clock on this court.
And that's going to do it. Your final score of Fort Wayne Hawks 63, Kansas City East Lions 42. I want to thank you for joining us on this broadcast. And coming up next, girls basketball, Dallas Thunder versus Fort Bend Eagles. On behalf of Scott Staten, my name is Paul Gilmore, and we will see you on the next one.